Sweet. Sorry about that. We are now back up and talking about what is happening today in the world of cryptocurrency, Ethereum, Coinbase. Some big news out of that today. Some big news from a funding standpoint with our friends over at, or you're not friends over at Coinbase. So pretty great news there for I think the entire space. Having a little bit of an issue with this stream right now, but wanted to briefly chat about some of the things that I've seen going on today, specifically what is happening with Neo just getting pumped to all bejesus. Also, as well, looking at OMG and just overall Ethereum's kind of rise around what's going on with that. But first of all, what's happening with Neo right now is pretty damn outrageous. When I checked Blockfolio today, I was really like, what the hell? I got in at Neo at $6, and I think now it's above 30, which is just out freaking rageous. There's really no way that volume. There's no way that price can really be justified. But I'm not going to sit back and complain about a 5x ROI. I only wish I didn't sell a bunch of my Neo when I went up like 40% and moved that back into ETH, but whatever happens, happens. Long term, I'm pretty comfortable with where Ethereum's going. I have no idea really where Neo is going to go and how well it can move the needle on a lot of things. But overall, interesting. Hey, David, what's up? Good to see you again, man. Hope you had a good day. Outside of Neo, OMG has been pretty much consistently rising up pretty damn steadily, which has been another interesting one to watch. And then one of them, I think I talked about it a little bit, but Civic is up 80+%, and that was one of the ones that while Neo and OMG were running, I was sitting with a pretty big holding of Civic and kind of getting antsy and like, you know what, is this actually going to run? Is Civic going to go anywhere? Is anything going to go on with Civic? Is this just, did I fall in love with the ICO and then it kind of, went out of favor, whatever. Civic had a huge run today, which was awesome to see. The only shitty part about it was about 30% of my Civic I actually had a sell order on, because I was on Bittrex. I was so, I was like, I don't think Civic's going to go much anywhere. I'll put a sell order like 25% above where the price is at right now. Sit there with that 25% sell order above it. I woke up this morning, saw the Civic price went up 95%, and then a third of that holding that I had was sold off at a pretty minimal gain, while the rest of it is still running, sitting on a Ledger Nano S somewhere. So that's something that I guess you live and learn. Can't really complain about a profit, but at the same time, could have been a lot bigger profit. So that's one of those kind of learning lessons for me, at least in the crypto space, is sometimes I get mad at myself because I pull a sell order. I'm like, I should have had this profit. And then sometimes I have a sell order. It actually executes the way I wanted it to. And then it rides up like 3x of what it was. So sometimes shit happens. I guess you're never really going to call it exactly how you potentially see it. Got a few people in the live stream now, so thanks again for everybody joining. David too. If you have any questions about what's going on in the market today, happy to discuss that and kind of walk through a lot of, I think, what the happenings are. I know one of the big things today that I did want to discuss a little bit is Coinbase. Coinbase, I'll bring it up. Let's see, I'll bring it up on the blog so you can take a look at that. But Coinbase just got, I believe it was over $100 million in Series D funding from a number of different VC firms. So that's something that you're going to want to keep an eye on, especially as Coinbase is kind of like the big player in the industry right now. At least in the US, Coinbase is one of the big players in the industry right now. They received $100 million Series D funding at a $1.6 billion valuation. So I think the more Coinbase succeeds, the more that they can do well within this industry, the better off it's going to be for everybody else, because I think they tend to add a little bit of legitimacy to the space. So I'll go and I'll see here too. There was a TechCrunch article. I can link to it in the description eventually. But there's a TechCrunch article that goes over how much Coinbase's volume has grown. And I think that's had a lot to do with them not only having Bitcoin, but also adding Ethereum and Litecoin in the past year or so. That's been huge for them. And as they continue to evaluate adding new coins, I think that's going to be impressive. One of the cool things, too, that I was talking a little bit about in my video earlier today, but Goldman Sachs had a memo to their clients. If you're not familiar with Goldman Sachs, one of the biggest names in corporate finance, one of the biggest investment banks, and they are now advising their clients on essentially how to interact with Bitcoin, with Ethereum. Should they be putting their money in cryptocurrency? What should they be doing there? Coinbase, which is headquartered in San Francisco, is now opening up an office in New York City specifically for institutional investors and building relationships in New York, which is the finance capital of the world, really. And so they're going to be trying to appeal to have the GDAX platform essentially be more not only for individual investors and individual traders, maybe like you and me, but for a company like Goldman to have their traders on GDAX. So that would bring a flood of money into cryptocurrency. I think personally, $115 billion, $120 billion market cap right now for all of cryptocurrency combined. You could expect that to go through the damn roof if we can get real institutional investors in the picture, which would be good. And then I think there's going to be some bad associated with that. If you are familiar with some of what goes on in finance, there's going to be some crazy market manipulation. There's going to be a lot of smart professional traders in this industry right now, or maybe there aren't as much at this point in time. So overall, though, Coinbase getting $100 million and being valued over $1 billion in funding, I think is big news for the industry, and I think is something that is going to lend itself well to crypto in general. That's going to be something that you should be able to look at and be happy about, because Coinbase adds a level of legitimacy over some of these other, not necessarily no-name exchanges, but I think they add a level of legitimacy. And as much as a lot of people in crypto want this to be the Wild Wild West, it still can be the Wild Wild West in a lot of ways. But at the same time, if there's not a level of legitimacy, if there's not a go-to company like a Coinbase, then that might present itself. It's going to prevent institutional investors like a Goldman or like some of these big companies that just have billions and billions and freaking trillions of dollars in money under management from getting into the space. As Coinbase continues to grow and blow up in transaction volume and money under management, then the kind of limitations are pretty damn minimal, which will be fun to see. So that is that's a positive. I'll bring up the charts now outside of Coinbase. If you do have any questions on Coinbase, would love to hear them. What your thoughts are on them raising a bunch of money in capital as well. But you'll see the charts here in a second. So Ethereum has had somewhat of an up and down day, but it's moving along nicely right now. Actually, it's had a good 15 minutes or so going up from let's say 300 to going up from 300 to 303 now. And I think we're starting to see, it really looks like, at least to me, I know I had the live stream a couple days ago when we were kind of battling through 300. We went above 300, down to like 280 something overnight, back up to 290, 300, down to the 290s. We're kind of playing around this 300 range, and I think it's nice. It's giving us some, I think it's starting to show some support and some comfort at this 300 mark. It's not just a kind of concerted rocket ship through 300, which I'm sure a lot of us would like to see, but at the same time, it's showing that this isn't just kind of a rocket ship. There's money there, and there's buy support at that 300 range, which I like. And I think overall, this is going to be a continued good curve for Ethereum, especially with some of the information coming out about some of the new advancements that Vitalik and the rest of the technical team, the development team with Ethereum are making. Potentially going from 7 transactions per second to billions with some of these updates, if they can really pull those off and scale. Hey David, did I sell Neo or OMG today? Now I'm letting them ride. They're up so much at this point in time. I've actually sold both of them off prior to today. I took, let's say, Neo was like a 40% profit. OMG took a little bit of profit there. Put it both back into ETH because I'm pretty confident in Ethereum long term, and I think it's going to blast through 400 at a certain point in time. But I took profit on both Neo and OMG, not today. But I'm actually looking to maybe buy back in if things go back down, because I think both of those, both Neo and OMG, kind of have that like it factor, that hot factor that everybody in Reddit's talking about, everybody on all the message boards are talking about. There's crazy high volume. People are buying it. People are selling it. Overall, pretty confident in what's going on there, so I'm interested to see. But I don't necessarily want to buy right now. I think I'm just gonna kind of wait for things to settle a little bit. I have enough where I'm comfortable with what I have now, and I'm gonna let that ride. If it goes up, I'm probably gonna regret not getting more, but it is what it is. You never know. If I buy, that would probably be the top, and I would tell everybody, oh shit, that's the top, because it's gonna sink the second I buy. But who knows? That's awesome. Yeah, there was one point when I was looking on the charts at OMG. I don't have it up right now, but when I was looking at the charts on OMG, where it was basically at an all-time high, it dipped down maybe like 15-20%, and I was thinking about going in, and then it just immediately popped back up and then created a new all-time high. So that was pretty nuts. And yeah, David, it's always crazy when you're like looking at some of these kind of trips up. I actually did that on the first day Bitcoin Cash hit the exchanges, so that was pretty nuts to see. But that was pretty nuts to see, and kind of rode that up for like 30 minutes, and then just got terrified and scared and hopped off the train. So I mean, outside of that, what's my prediction for price trajectory for ETH this year? I think that I don't have an end price. I mean, I would, like I've said it before, and I'd be very hard pressed to think that the 420 mark that ETH has previously put up is going to be the all time high forever. I think we're going to break through that in the next few months, probably conservatively speaking, the next 2 or 3 months. Yeah, I could easily see 400, 500 per ETH within the next couple months by year end. I know some people have talked about $1,000 ETH. Depending upon the overall market capitalization and things like that. I mean, you have to take kind of market cap into place. That's tripling things right now, and I don't remember the exact. I'll see what the exact market cap is right now. But I mean, if we're looking at not necessarily this year, I mean, it's certainly possible. But I mean, if we're looking at $1,000 ETH, you're looking at close to $100 billion in market cap. I don't know if that's kind of sustainable for the time being, or if that's legitimate, but it's possible. I wouldn't say it's out of the realm of possibility, but I'd also think that Bitcoin, we're going to kind of lag a little bit behind Bitcoin in some senses, so that'll be interesting to see. We might overtake Bitcoin at a certain point in time, or Ethereum might overtake Bitcoin at a certain point in time, and I'm personally more confident in kind of how Ethereum's approach to being a platform and having so many other aspects to things than I am with Bitcoin just being a straight up pure play currency for the most part. But I would say, if I had to put a number on it, let's say 450 for this year. Let's say conservatively 450 per ETH by the end of the year, which would be a 50% gain from here, which would be nice. Really nice. The only thing too, and that I think what a lot of people get excited and jacked up about is if ETH goes to 450, that's a 50% gain. You look at some of these way smaller capitalized coins, even like OMG, Neo now, Neo's getting up there in multi-billion-dollar market cap. Statuses, the civics, the pay tokens, whatever. These coins go up 50% in a day. They go up 100% in a friggin' day, 300% in the course of a week. So I think that's putting a lot of money into those and somewhat keeping a little bit of money out of ETH, because people know how much People know how much profit can potentially be made, and you kind of have to look at the overall market capitalization of things as well. Any questions too outside of kind of what's going on in ETH right now? We're watching things look pretty nice on the charts at this point in time, popping up from 300 or so to I'll put it into the 15-minute charts here. Popping up from a little bit of a low here to make its way up, which is good to see where we're at this point. Yeah, really. I mean, overall, I am from my just kind of overall strategy. I'm looking at kind of core holdings in ETH, core holdings in the main holding really being ETH, a little bit on Bitcoin, not too much, and then kind of these small, I would say like small concerted bets on these tokens that are in the $100 million market cap range, like a Status, like a Civic, like previously Neo, when it was $500 million or whatever, where these tokens have room to run from $100 million or from $50 million or $150 or $200 million to $1 billion. That's probably a lot easier for a coin to go from $250 million to $1 billion, kind of like you've seen with Neo, than it will be for ETH to go from $20 billion or $30 billion right now to $100 billion. That's a lot. That's that's $60-70 billion. That's a lot of market cap to come into the space. Granted, if institutional investment comes in, that'll be interesting to see. But overall, that's kind of my thought process is, core holdings in certain aspects, like the big dogs like ETH that I think are going to continually go up, but maybe not at the rate of these smaller coins. And then these consistent bets of these coins that, maybe might go down in the shitter at some point in time, but at the same time, do well overall. I know a lot of you guys have been around with a couple of these streams, so great to see you again. But if you're new here, I would love a subscribe. Starting this channel is really starting to get some steam, which is pretty cool to see. So I'd love a subscribe. I'd love a like to videos. Check out some of the other videos I put together too. I had one from earlier today where I walked through kind of the charts, or a little bit of the charts on just Neo, OMG, and talked about some things with, forgetting off the top of my head, Goldman. Talked about Goldman and their memo to clients, as well as Amazon hiring somebody in blockchain. So if you're new, again, definitely subscribe. Would really, really appreciate that. Hey, what's up, Jank? I'm just reading your comments here. If I put 5K into a coin and gained 100% when I take the initial investment out, maybe I would take some profits off the table. But I would move it into other coins. I wouldn't necessarily move it to fiat. Like, that's kind of what I've done now. I've had an initial investment. I had my initial investment. It's gone up probably like 3x in the past month and a half, but I haven't moved it to fiat. I've just kind of distributed it to different coins so that I have a little bit more exposure in the marketplace. At some points in times it's been really great. At other points in times I've seen Neo go through the roof. I got Neo at $6, and then it went to 10. I was like, it's probably not going to go that much higher, or maybe it won't go that much higher right now, so I'll put a little bit more in ETH, or I'll put some else, I'll take some profits, and then Neo goes from $6 to $10 to $30, and you lose out on a ton of profits. So, there's good and bad. Taking profits, I don't think you can ever go wrong, but I'd also always let a little bit ride because, we always look at certain things like, what if Bitcoin.com, we looked at that the other day, and what happens if you invested $100 in Bitcoin? 5 years ago, you would have X number of millions of dollars. However, would you have actually been able to hold that? So, I think there's a level of you want to hold a certain level of that investment and just let it damn ride because you might hit the jackpot. I try not to check as much, but I think we all know. We're watching this right now. It's pretty addicting. So it's not necessarily that I want to trade all the time. Like I don't trade all the time at all, really. But it's fun to see what's going on. I think that the big thing for me, and I don't want to speak for anybody else, but one of the things that's fun about it is just the volatility. Like that is, I'm used to watching the stock market, and if earnings come out and something jumps 5%, it's like, oh my God, that's front page news in the Wall Street Journal that a company released earnings and their stock went up 5%. So Marcus, I think, yeah, I mean, just post some, find a Reddit that you would get some easy up likes. Go to the Dogecoin Reddit. You would probably get easy up likes in a place like that with a good community that's just fun loving, whatever. Go to Dogecoin community, post like, hey, I just bought my first Dogecoin to the moon, and you're probably gonna get like 10 karma points, and you can post an ETH trader, and you'll be good to go. So that would be like my recommendation. Cool. Well, I'm about to hop off to order dinner. I'm getting pizza for the night. If you are, up likes, baby. If you are new here, again, please hit the subscribe button. We'd really love that. Check out some of my older videos as well. I had a video from this morning and the other days. This channel's been around for less than a week, but we've been growing pretty rapidly, which has been awesome to see. But would love that subscribe. Not selling anything, not promoting anything. Just fun talking to a bunch of people and kind of getting the message out and seeing what other people are thinking about the crypto space. Any questions, hit me up in the comments and happy to answer. No, I actually work in tech. I work at a big Fortune 500 tech company. So work in tech, not in finance, but I've always been really interested in finance. Thanks a lot. I appreciate I am a salesman. I am a salesman, so don't hold that against me. But but I appreciate all the all the interaction today. It was great speaking with everybody. I'll be back sporadically. I will have a new video tomorrow, and I might even live stream. I'm traveling up to Boston for the weekend tomorrow. So when I get to the hotel, if the internet doesn't suck, I will live stream from there as well. But thanks so much, everybody. Have a good one.